still winning. Real kings still building. Big thoughts, big ideals. Big plays, we looking downfield. Still moving with integrity. We understand it's about legacy. I put myself on, then I plug the fam. We all working together, that's the best defense. No more slices, cause we realize we got the dough, we got the sauce and cheese, let's make a pie. That legal money make your mama smile. That dirty money might just come with trial. Stay focused, hustle with a purpose. In 3 to 5 years, you be swimming in surplus. We talking assets and acquisitions. We talking businesses and new ventures. Who said the hood don't know how to love? When the only thing the hood ever had was love. I see us rising out the black clouds. They could never keep the heroes down. I'm from a lineage of high priests. I'm from a bloodline of goddess queens. I'm from the essence of that star matter. I got on cold and learned from the masters. I take full accountability. Win or lose, I'm betting on me. I stayed true and they flaked out. But they can never keep the heroes down. Flow ferocious and coated with potent doses. The opus that I invoke like the ghost of Dr. Ben Yosef. Fresh water, love when she called me Baba. Smooth with the lessons, I got the blessings from Dr. Kaba. I'm Khalid Muhammad, scorching these devils with all this knowledge. Ask Dr. Ma'a, she tell you this choosing music, myotic and radiant. I'm suffering from drapetomania, somewhere between Nat Turner, Stoner, or Gabriel. Rebel shells, give them hell spiritually. These verses said curses to the devil and a prayer to the family. Yeah, from Patal was born deep in the waters of none. Every atom explode like a nuclear bomb. High science I study, so below is above me. Healing old traumas genetically inscribed on me. Tapping ancestral memory inside of me. Carry on tradition, I overstand the mission. I'm from a lineage of high priests. I'm from a bloodline of goddess queens. I'm from the essence of that star matter. I got on cold and learned from the masters. I take full accountability. Win or lose, I'm betting on me. I stayed true and they flaked out. But they can never keep the heroes down.
Beautiful, isn't it, Baba? Talking to Baba, I mean backstage, man. It's the song, man. You all literally just heard Lineage. This song was created by our brother SESVTH, who is dropping his album on June the 17th, family. Matter of fact, this video will be available tomorrow on his YouTube channel at 11:11 a.m. And I wonder what that means, right? Because he's dropping it at 11:11, but he's a deep brother. I'm telling you, family, he's a deep brother. And so I'm wondering, why did he choose tomorrow's date and time to be 11:11? But anyway, family, make sure that you head on over to his YouTube channel. Let me show the channel. All right, I'm going to drop this link in the chat, family. And look, we premiered it first right here on Truth to Power Talk with Dr. Ma'at. I got his permission. Matter of fact, I think it was this morning or late last night. And I said, brother, can I play this before my show tomorrow? And he said, yeah. He said, you can play it. You can premiere it on your show. But he said, this is what I want you to let the family know. He said, let them know. And I'm reading his words. All right, family. He said, let them know that the video drops officially tomorrow at 11:11 a.m. Okay. He said, please have them subscribe to my channel so they can be notified of the public release. This is his channel, family. All right, I'm going to drop the link in the chat, okay, to his channel. So you can just click on the link and go directly to his channel. All right. And if you can't click on the link, family, I'm going to drop it in the chat on YouTube as well as Instagram, okay? And if you can't click on the link, all you have to do, literally, family, is go to YouTube and type in SESVTH, okay? Just the way it's spelled on the screen, SESVTH, and his YouTube page will pop up. And let me keep it 100 with you. I was jogging this morning, man, and I went to videos. I went to the videos tab here, and I just started going through this brother's playlist while I was working out, and I didn't hear one song that I had to skip by. You know how sometimes you skip through and you say, "Oh, the beat's not catching you," or the lyrics are whack. Literally every song on his YouTube channel is a banger. And as I've always said, this brother makes truesic. Okay, I say that as music for my audience. So it's melodic music, music for the African soul. And so anyway, he told me to let you know that his video officially drops at 11:11 tomorrow. He says subscribe to his YouTube channel so you can be notified of the public release. He said also let you all know that we want to make sure that this goes viral. I mean, did you see the visuals in this family? I mean, I don't want to go back through it again, but I mean, I'm just kind of showing you the visuals, you know, showing us in a way that we're not depicted often, right, by mainstream media. So he's like, look, make sure that we had this go viral. He said, because he said, look at this, what he said. He said, I want our people to vision. He said, I want to give them a vision of what was and what could be. Ashe. All right. And then he also said, he said, mention that your album, he said, mention that my album, The Fifth Dimension, is set to release on June the 17th via iTunes purchase. He said, no streaming because we don't want to support artistic slavery. All right. He said, this is the type of album you can play with your kids, peers, and parents. Truesic, hashtag Truesic, and that is TRUSIC. So me, Baba. Peace and love to you. How you doing, Baba?
Peace and Black Power. You know what I'm saying? That was a jam right there. I'm rocking with that. You know, that powerful SESVTH, powerful art, and I'm looking forward to the release. I'll definitely be supporting. Definitely be.
Baba, same here. I'm a huge fan of this brother's work.
Right.
You know, and every time somebody come over, Baba, they come through my door. We sitting out back. I'm throwing on his music. You know,
I say. Man, revolutionary hip hop is timeless. You know.
Yes, it is. And Baba, you got some music too now.
Oh, you know, it takes one to know one. You see what I'm saying? It takes one to know one. So that brother's bringing the heat, and we got some stuff coming too. You know what I'm saying? Y'all stay tuned. But SESVTH, congrats on everything that he's doing. A BB for Hodier. He's blacktastic, magnificent. My Attic music, man, yes. Keep it up.
I was just saying, Baba, that Stono cut was off the chain.
I say, you talking about that rebellion.
Oh, Rebellion.
Yeah, yes. Rebellion. And we're looking to shoot the video at our graduation next week on the land in Winston, Georgia. We may be shooting a video for that piece. Yeah.
Baba is necessary. Baba is
yes, it is.
Baba is necessary. That type of music is needed. You know, it's definitely needed. And so you reached out to me and you said, look, one of my students from the Uhuru Academy, Amma, you know, you said, do you know Amma? And I said, yes, Baba. I said, I know who she is. I said, I'm very articulate and intelligent, you know, young little woman in training.
Right.
And I just, you know, super proud of her and her lineage. The video was called Lineage, right? She comes from a lineage of warriors, of warrior scholars. That's the lineage that she comes from. And
so this powerful young scholar, who has been in the Uhuru Academy for 2 years, right? Again, comes from a powerful lineage, the Kambon family. Dr. Ma'at, has the distinction of being our very first international graduate, right? And she has taken it upon herself, her mission, right, to come over to the States to participate and be a part of our graduation ceremony and walk across the stage with her classmates, right? But she coupled that with the mission that she was already on, and that's in promoting her own business. She's a chef. She is an expert at healthy foods. She's been making her rounds, interviewing in Ghana. She's been interviewing here in the United States. We want to make the United Snakes. We want to make sure that the Ma'atian family, right, is aware of our future, and we want to give them the opportunity to support our community, to support our future tonight. So if we could bring her in for a few minutes, she don't need me to speak for her. She could come in and speak for herself. And Ma'atian family, please welcome Miss Amma Kambon.
Thank you so much for having me today, Black Power. Good evening. Thank you for having me on, Dr. Oyama, and great to see you, Baba Amin.
Great to see you as well.
Great to see you. No problem. Thank you for coming on. But tell us your story. Tell us about Amma. Okay, let's start there.
Ashe.
Ashe.
So my name is Amma Kambon. I am the granddaughter of Kamal and Mawia Kambon and the daughter of Obenfo Obadele and Kala Kambon. And I was raised in a deeply African-centered and entrepreneurial household. My grandparents founded Blacknificent Books and the Benue Cultural Center. And this was a space that empowered our community through culture, education, and health. And that legacy of self-determination and, community service is the foundation for everything I do. And so my grandparents, they decided to go plant-based, go vegan before they had their children. And so their children grew up completely plant-based. And in turn, I have grown up completely vegan and plant-based. So I've been vegan my entire life. It is a lifestyle for me. I started teaching young Black children how to cook plant-based meals through videos when I was younger, from the age of 4. That experience helped me to become known as Kid Chef Celebrity to the Stars. I worked with a lot of vegan chefs in Ghana. I did a lot of internships, and I eventually launched my own vegan food service in 2020, along with my business partner, Sewanataki Kambon. And I am grateful that it's now attracting serious investor interest. And what I'm doing now, I am part of the initiative to relaunch the Benue Center, which was once my grandparents' home and is also now a cultural gathering place. And what I'm doing now is on June 14th, I am looking to have the Blacknificent family reunion where the community, the large community of people in Southeast Carolina, in North Carolina, we are inviting them to come to a menu tasting. So in this, I will be sharing an experience of healthy Ghanaian foods and drinks. And
good stuff.
And yes. But that is June 14th. I want to have a powerful experience where I'm bringing people to this menu tasting. I'm introducing them and connecting them back to their roots, back to their culture. And, it's really for anyone who wants to really reconnect with Ghanaian foods in a healthy way, in a way that empowers mind, body, and spirit. All of those angles.
Baba, I'm in awe right now. I'm just sitting over here like she's amazing. When you talk about a BB Wam, right? Black excellence, she epitomizes it.
A BB Wam.
I say she's very creative, very talented, and we're honored to have her here. I'm gonna talk a little bit about your mission over here. I know we have a link where people can support your mission here in the States as far as your trip and being a part of graduation. How can the community support you?
Okay, so I'm here in the U.S. to graduate from a wonderful, Black, powerful, African-centered private online school. It is called Uhuru Academy, and Baba Amin, you are the principal of Uhuru Academy. That graduation will be taking place in Atlanta, and I'm excited to also announce that I have designed a new line of African-inspired home goods, including aprons and decor that reflect our culture and aesthetic. So recently, we've had Baba Malcolm X's birthday pass, and we are also coming up on Juneteenth. And what I really want people to do, or what I believe would make this time even more impactful and more powerful, is if we're thinking about celebrating African resilience and celebrating African power through every day. And so these self-designed African print coasters and table runners and aprons and recipe journals, I really believe that these are things that you can decorate your home with. These are things that you can look at every day and connect with, and be reminded of our legacy and our power through seeing these things in your home every day. And so that is at the site Amma Kambon /graduation. That's spelled AMA. Okay, ammakambon.com/graduation.
Right. They can go to ammakambon.com for donation.
Yes, yes.
Okay. They can also go. So the product line is on there, and for any donations, that also goes there. So ammakambon.com, you just go there, and everything, all the information, everything about donation, a little bit more about my journey, that's all on there. And yes.
Well, I'm getting ready to make a donation, Baba. I'm getting ready to make a donation. Let me,
right.
Look, let me stop sharing and we're donation.
Let's make some things happen right now. Let's make some things. The call to action is going out right now. All right, my ITN family, some of y'all sitting over there, get up off that Netflix money and go order an apron. All right. Netflix won't turn you off right away. Okay, let's reprioritize some of those funds and let's direct those funds into this African-owned business to support this young businesswoman who is embarking on her journey, right, and walking her lane of liberation for our people. And so we are super energized to support you, Amma. And
Absolutely.
We are unapologetically letting the community know you need to be supporting Amma Kambon. You need to be going to ammakambon.com and ordering an apron. Not only, y'all thought she was just going to ask for donations. No, she's like, no, we work for it around here too.
That's right.
Go support the website, get the products, throw a little extra onto the donation on top of that, right? And you're doing that to make your contribution. This is an opportunity for the community to come in and be a part of something powerful. Amma, I salute you.
Yes, absolutely. Bob, I'm over here looking at the table runner.
Thank you.
I'm looking at the table runner. I like this, Amma. I love it. You have some really, really good stuff over here. So I'm going to be placing an order. You're going to see an order come through from me. I want to get the table runner, and I'm thinking about it.
Right. I'm loving the aprons. I might have to give it as a gift. I don't know if I cook enough to deserve an apron. But you know, and
you can get it either way.
Right.
I mean, we have the table runners. We also have the matching coasters, the matching aprons. So, all of that they're all each in their own collection. So, I'm sure within the collections, you'll be able to find something that, suits what you're looking for. Absolutely.
I say.
We also have matching water bottles, matching hoodies, all of that kind of stuff.
Great job.
I say, Baba. So I salute Amma for the wonderful things that she's doing. And I just pray that the ancestors, continue to bless and guide her steps, Baba.
Ashe.
Family,
Well,
we
Amma,
got
thanks for
support.
visiting
That's
us.
support.
Thanks for visiting us tonight. And again, family, step up.
That's
All
right.
right.
That's
Step
right.
up. All right. You next person say a BB or Fahodier to me. I'm gonna say, what'd you get from Amma?
Come on, Baba. Right. What'd you
All
get
right.
from?
What'd you get from Amma? Next person say, look at me and talk some black talk. What'd you get from Amma? All right. So
Right.
y'all we gotta make it real. We have to put action behind these words. All right. And so I'm asante sana to you, right? For giving the Maatian family something to do.
Ashe. Baba, it's
Nasante
nasty.
Sana for having me today. Thank you so much.
A BB
This has been
Fahodier
very
to you.
beautiful. Thank you for having me. A beautiful hoodie right back to you.
She's amazing,
Say.
Baba. Peace,
Yes,
peace.
absolutely.
Family, we got a supporter. I'm with Baba. You saying a BB Fahodier. And what you say, Baba?
Yeah, I'm like, what you get from Amma? Amma Fahodier tonight. Amma Fahodier tonight.
I'm a Fahodier.
All right, I'm a Fahodier tonight. Y'all support that young, powerful sister and continue to support her as she grows. And she has opportunities in school to work on her business. And so she's been able to work on her business. She had plenty of practice presenting and just building that confidence. Her family does such a great job homeschooling her at home. Just a powerful, powerful partnership. And she is doing such a great job representing and walking in that legacy.
Absolutely, she is. And you remember the first time I heard of Baba, she was giving a critique of Meltrek episode 3.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
And remember, Baba, I said, who is that? And you said, that's Amma Kambon. As soon as I heard the last.
Yes. You knew. Right. So I'll always say that when she first came to the school, my interview with her family to see whether or not she was coming to the Uhuru Academy was the most intense ever. And it was powerful. It was beautiful. And I'm sitting there and Nana Kambon, OG Kambon is on the, you know what I'm saying, is there. And so it was intense. It was Black powerful. And I'm just honored to be a part of her journey. We're honored as the Uhuru Academy, a part of her journey. And asante sana to you, Dr. Ma'at, for having Amma on tonight. And peace and power, peace and Black power to the Kambon family. And
Baba, thank you for bringing her work to my attention. I had no idea that she was involved in all of this. And so I appreciate you calling and bringing her work, to my attention. And, allowing me to be a vessel to help get the information out about her work and to gain more support for her work. So, Baba, I'm going to be pumping it up now. Now that I have her information, we pumping it up, Baba.
That's what's up. Appreciate you, Doc.
Hey, appreciate you, Baba. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Peace. All right, y'all. So my internet is acting janky. So I better get it in and say something before it starts going like this again.
Let's combat and fight back with Meltrek. The war of the minds, they want control of the masses. And Common Core, they dumb us down in the classes. Without knowledge, we can't gain access. Build with the elders, take notes and write classes. We keep whining on the block, how it's gonna stop? Let's start supporting our own, make their supply drop. We buy stocks, then we buy blocks. Cause we know the truth and we tuned in to Dr.
A BB Fahodier, a BB Toomey, a BB Wan. Peace to all of my thinkers, truth speakers, and truth seekers. Welcome to another Truth to Power Talk with your sister, Dr. Ma'at. Thank you for joining another powerful discussion tonight. I have with me another powerful guest, but he is no stranger to the community. Peace and Black African excellence to you, Dr. Ausar. How are you? Oh, you're on mute, Doc.
Oh, okay. Peace and Black excellence back at you. Back at the listening viewership, the supporters, as you say. Thanks for having me on.
First off, I want you to start by explaining racial battle fatigue, that concept or that framework. If you could start talking about that. I know you mentioned it in the chat maybe a week or so ago. We were talking about this new term called Black fatigue. And you were saying it was actually our people have been talking about that for a long time, but not in the same context. So could you begin, Doc, by talking about that concept or framework?
Yeah, thanks for that question. We say off the top, like, what do you say? Shot like the quick fire, rapid fire. I wasn't expecting that one, but I will say, racial battle fatigue. I can't think of the brother. I think it's Dr. Williams. I can't remember his first name, but he actually did a lot of research around this idea of racial battle fatigue. It used to be on a Philip Shock. I can't think of his last name, show a lot. And he speaks about this idea, especially Black men, but I would say Black people in general, when they are in, let's say, proximity of white people, whiteness, white institutions, there's a lot of fatigue that happens, and it impacts people on a physiological level, so much so that Black men, I think he spoke a lot about it, like in academia, in corporate America, are dying earlier due to their proximity to whiteness. And I think that sometimes we don't even consider when we put our children around, we think that we're putting our children in these environments. And from my own experience as a therapist, is that our children have to deal with those levels of microaggression, not just racial issues, but also class issues. So, in other words, what racial battle fatigue is, in short, is a physiological, psychological fatigue that Black people experience as a result of being in proximity with white people in these different institutions. And I would say firsthand, I'm from Baltimore. So I never really had to experience that myself until I started teaching in a university in Southwestern Pennsylvania. And even though it might not be overt racism, but the reality of being around them, it does something to you physiologically. It overwhelms you. It's like you have to pick up on all the subtleties, all the just the stress of being in a white environment as a Black person.
Oh my goodness, Doc. I didn't know in the book that he argued that we even die as a result of being in close proximity to white people. I had no idea he made that.
Life is shortened because of it. And there's research around that. Lots of research around it.
And Dr. Craig Samuel said it's Philip Shock Matthews, and his name is Dr. William Smith. He appeared on his show several times.
Yes. Thank you, Doctor.
And Doc, let me ask you this. So why do you think that now, white folks are now calling something Black fatigue, but now they're remixing the definition? Why do you think that is, why do you think that's so, Doc? Why do you think they're doing that?
Yeah, it's kind of like dealing with, I'm not sure about it. I did hear you mention it on your show, and I heard Bob and Hotep speak to it. I too had heard of it myself, but I can imagine they should feel fatigued. There's a lot of work when the mirror of your ignorance is being reflected to you. When you think that, they're fatigued when Black people speak about their experiences, and Black people don't bow down. Right. So that's just part of the experience, and it doesn't take much for white people. All it has to do is you speaking your truth. It's a lot for white people to deal with true information. White people are ignorant. I'm sorry, they are. So extremely. So they've been, and what I mean, I'm not saying like they're not smart. They can't do different things. What I am saying, they are ignorant to not everything. Don't get it twisted. But what I am saying is white people have done a job on white people. So they are very oblivious to much of what we call racism. And when the mirror is reflected, they can't handle it.
And there was a doctor that wrote a book called White Fragility. Is that correct? I forgot her name. Robin something.
Robin. She's also Robin, not D'Angelo. Is it Robin D'Angelo? Yeah.
Yes.
Robin D'Angelo. Yes.
But she wrote a book on it.
She wrote a book on White Fragility, and in that book she speaks about, and that book right there, the right wing Republicans, the Trumpers, the MAGA folk hate that book because they hate it because they call that liberal oneness, right? And what that book speaks about is white women. This is what I tell people all the time. Let me share some. I tell people all the time, you are not revolutionary because you talk about white men. They are the easiest people to talk about, especially during these last 20-something years of liberal stuff, right? They're easy to talk about. Talk about a white woman. Talk about white women and what they've done. Talk about Jane Crow. Because we go in these spaces with white women and they want to act like they're oppressed or just as oppressed, if not more oppressed. And believe me, I know this because I've taught a lot of white women in mental health training. And they have to disclose the things that Dr. Frances Cress Welsing speaks about when they're writing. And they let's say they mean well. I don't know. But the reality is, even when they mean well, they can't do no better. Racism is a very pervasive thing. Dr. Welsing said, ask them what they talk about when you're not around. And in these papers, Dr. Welsing is right on. These white women, all they do is explain the racist environment that created them and the struggle they still have. And that right there, when you point that out, white women will have what they call tears, white crocodile tears, where white people in general, they like you say something and they try to relate to you. Well, they want to feel comfortable. They don't want to really approach it. It's too difficult for them to really approach what their people have done to others. I put a post out the other day, and all it does, I'm telling you, TikTok is something. I put a post out on TikTok that says, well, look, if your father stole my father's car, if he stole my father's car and they both passed on and you still driving the car, you will be held accountable. Yes. So, but the reality is now it's too hard for them to see that. And once you reflect that, they cry to get your sympathy. They cry to say, I understand, but really they want you to really empathize and sympathize and come to their rescue. That's white. They want you to come to their rescue. And again, some words, I deal with certain words, but white people and white liberals, for the most part, they have a specialized in the science. Don't look, Unc. I'm just saying science in a real loose way, brother. They have. No, I got you. I'm with you. In the science of euphemisms, of utilizing words in ways that replace real work. So they change words, but they don't do real work. They change your labels. In some of this video you talking about today, I think it ties in very well. And I think that's part of the problem. I lost my thought, Dr. Myatt. So you can bring me back on track. But yes, white women are the reason why we have so much trouble in mental health today. Because it is a white feminist, and I'm telling you, academia in general, whether you know it or not, is a white feminist agenda that white patriarchal men are trying to take back.
Say that again. Say that again, Doc, and qualify that for me. Say that again and qualify that for me.
So in academia, it is a white feminist movement. Let me say that agenda. It is full of white feminist ideology, and white men are trying to take it back. And what I mean by that is, when we talk about these things, there's a lot of woke, and pardon me for y'all who like the word woke. I've never really, I know some people can take it back historically and say this one was the first to say that and all that, but y'all know that's not how we're using it today. And I struggle with the idea of woke, just because, not because some of us aren't woke. I just say woke ain't enough, because woke is not enough, because I say I'm black conscious. What are you woke about? Woke just means that you understand, you understand oppression. So what am I saying? So I'm saying, so when we talk about, especially what we're talking about today, white women have created, it's not even white women, it's white women and pardon me, sisters, pardon.
Wait, go ahead.
Black sisters that are very educated, who create ideas like intersectionality, and it's not very scientific, to be honest with you. I'm saying even in the social science understanding, it's not, because you can't quantify what they're saying when we talk about intersectionality. So some people believe I'm white and I'm a woman, so I'm oppressed because I'm a woman. So then she comes to me, now she wants to use Kimberly Crenshaw's intersectionality, misuse it or use it appropriately, because I've heard Dr. Crenshaw speak about it in various ways, and people use it as a way to measure. There's no measurement in the will of intersectionality. What I mean by that is ableism, sexism, race, gender, class. There's no like. So, for example, so the white woman say, "Well, you're a black man, and I'm a white woman, so I'm oppressed because I'm a white woman. And you're oppressed because you're a black man, because you're black. So now, because you're black, and because you're black, that is your oppressed identity." But you're also a man, which now gives you privilege. And now, because I'm a white woman, because I'm white, I have privilege. Because I'm a woman, I don't have privilege. So that makes us equal. And I'm saying BS. And what I'm saying is, whether they say it or not, that is what is in the subconscious of many white women and even black women's, mine and black men. Because if you've been trained in academia, especially in social sciences, humanities, even hard sciences, because you have to take some level of, let's say, what are these classes you have to take, Dr. Mayat? DEI classes, diversity training, inclusion, all these type of things. How do you've been trained to see through the lens of white feminists. You don't even know it. I'm not saying some of it is no merit in it, but what I am saying is you have to understand that when you go to academia and you're taking these classes, they're not talking about African-centered thought. Even in the article I just sent you, they spoke about that. I thought I was the only one noticing. I reread the article and before I sent it to you, and it speaks about that. You talk about Black feminism in academia. You can talk about white feminism in Black academia. You can and you can talk about all these other things, but African Senate is always subjugated, and they don't allow it to rise up. They may mention it in one liner in a textbook, but why don't they? But why is Black feminism so popular? Why is even some of these theories that they allow? And this is what I say: in white academia, you only can be as radical as white feminists allow you to be.
Oh God, you killing it tonight. Oh my Jesus.
You can only be as radical, and that is not radical to beat up on white men. Let's talk about Jane Crow too. Let's talk about how you own property. Let's talk about how Black men were your property. Let's talk about how Black men, if you could just say he did anything and he was dead. So now you're telling me that this man has more, but when more or equal privilege. I don't even like the word privilege because I think it's a euphemism. You know, that just means you think that perceived power, that you earned it, and also ignorance. You're just ignorant, and white people are ignorant. I mean it in the truest sense. And it's sad because I'm not saying that they don't know what they're doing sometimes, but I'm telling you what is even more dangerous is when they don't know what they're doing. And most of them don't. They have no idea about history. I'm telling you, I'm talking about real history. I teach white people who thought that they were progressive in Pennsylvania because they think they're not in the South. I don't know why they didn't think they were in the South. They're in Southwest Pennsylvania. That's a whole nother world over there. But what I'm saying is they never heard about you might not be surprised that they didn't hear about Garvey, but they never even heard about what's the white guy who went ahead and in this during this
John Brown.
John Brown, yeah. Never even heard about John Brown. Never heard about any white people who've allied with Black people, whether or not it was, you know, we can debate whether it was authentic or not, but no, they don't know history. They don't know about Black Panthers as much as you think they know about it. They never heard about the young lords they don't know history. They all the way in PhD programs, supposedly helping people, supposedly trying to be culturally competent. But the only thing they know is that we need to find ways to broach conversations with Black people. And broaching, I have a problem with that as well. Which is a clinician, a white therapist from Hopkins who kind of brought this process about of really talking to the minority people, so I'm saying, so there's a major problem in the mental health community because white women decide whether and how far you can go and what is acceptable and what is not. And we have to even look at it. Somebody as sharp as Dr. Tommy Carey, no one wants to talk about him. He literally left the country because so much pressure because he talked about Black men's pain. I've been trying to get you to get him on, Doc, about Black men's pain. And then white academia will have men and Black women telling Black men to shut up because you are oppressors just like them. And I say that's trauma. And I understand that on certain levels, that is true that we hurt each other in our communities, but we can't ever forget about the society, the powers, those who have created this reality that we find ourselves in, that will have us playing against each other. So I'm not with the whole manosphere or the womansphere. I'm saying, look, we need to be down with each other.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Because right. I hear people saying some crazy stuff. Manosphere, they all into Trump. You got the women sphere that's into Kamala, and then it's so much craziness that we really have to talk about. And what I mean is not just social science, because liberal arts, social science, humanities dictate the way that we see the world, not how we create things. Let's say even as engineers. You can create a product, you can create and figure out problems in that world, but at the same time, what kind of tools are you using to see how society is operating? What you do with that degree, as you speak about, Diane, what do you do? Do you go and work for Lockheed Martin? And if you do go work for Lockheed Martin, what do you expect? It's not enough, as you and others would say, it's not enough to get A's. In fact, that's what we got our children shooting for. The young sister, oh my God, I don't even know how I'm coming after her. Much respect to her and Baba Amen. You know what I mean?
Yes, Sister Amma, sharp.
You see what I'm saying? And then, and even us in these conscious communities, somehow we believe, although we espouse publicly that we African-centered, but in our core, we're still struggling. And we have more of a value system that is in line and more of alignment with Eurocentric values.
That's right.
And don't get it twisted. I don't give white people anything. What I'm trying to say is, look, this is an argument, and I don't think white people created anything that Black people haven't already created in the first place. It's what you do with what you have.
There you go.
I just think it's compartmentalized, as you have brought into STEM. See, that's the argument. The A is the liberal, the A is the white woman, and the STEM is the white man, and they both fight against each other. What is better? Why am I oppressed? Why am I not getting the same wages? So what I'm saying is, bring them together. White women want to fight for one thing, and white men. I say, look, it's a white woman here in Baltimore. I was just the business associate president around where I'm at now. A sister just called me up, and they're doing a Juneteenth celebration. The white woman, and in fact, again, we're talking about this DEI stuff, and we know that they had all the jobs in the DEI, and they were doing the trainings and all that type of thing. And the trainings don't work. I'm sorry, they don't. I've done them. I don't even want to do them. And they pay you. You know what I'm saying? No, I don't want to do them. Like they try to hit me up. I don't even want to do them. It don't work. You have to do a lot of heavy lifting for white women because they feel guilty. So that goes back to your idea. What is white fragility? That's when you explain the thing to the white woman and they melt before you, so that the attention can be on them. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I that type of thing. I went to school with them. I understand. I'm not saying some of them don't mean it, but I will say is they can't do no better because it's been entrenched in them.
That's right.
It's been wired in them. They have been conditioned. That's very difficult to see. By the time when you grow, if you've been taught a certain way your entire life, I'm talking about even for us, it is so difficult to bring about change in a person's personality. And a person's personality is nothing more than the way they see the world, the way that they feel, understand, and intervene or engage with the world. That is the core aspects of a personality. So you've been taught that Black people are less than you your entire life. It takes a lot of work to reverse that. And I'm telling you, most people can't even stop seeing their brother a certain way. They don't even know you. It's going to be a lot of work.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's
absolutely. Go ahead, Doc. Go ahead.
When you go to therapy, you know you want to do better. You know you want to do better. The therapist is sitting there with you, and when you go out in the world, it makes all the sense in the office with the therapist. But when you go out, you're still cussing your mama out. When you go out in the real world, in the real time, you're still getting triggered because you didn't heal. Because it takes a lot of work, and it takes constant work. I am saying the same level of work it takes for you to forgive your mother or to see something different, even though you know it wasn't true. You know, like you say, you know what? I saw my mother wrong my whole life. Now I have to reimagine this. But still, viscerally, on a physical level, you are still being triggered by that. So what do you think that was going to happen with white people? It takes too much work that they're not willing to do because most of us aren't willing to do it.
That's a fact. That's a fact, Doc. Doc, let me ask you this. We both saw a video by a therapist, and you probably know her name.
I don't.
I don't know her name either. And I want to hurry up and get this in before I start breaking up. But she's now arguing on social media, and her videos are going viral, that this culture has created emotional, fragile people. And I liked it. And you text me and you say, oh, I saw that you liked it. Let's talk about this publicly. That we now exist in a society of emotional, fragile people. Doc, could you tell me how you think we got here? How do you think we got here? Because I do agree with her that we do live in we do live in a society with an abundance of emotional, fragile people. How do you think we got here, Doc?
So the medical sense, they call it overcorrection. So I've borrowed that term to include in my theory called Ngia, which means the way or ways, which is a Kiswahili term, means the way or ways. And I think I lost the question. So how did we get here? Okay. So we got here because, again, this is my hypothesis. This is my understanding of it, that this society has been dominated by white men for a long time. And they see things in a more left brain oriented, transactional way. You know, they don't value white men have undervalued emotions and overvalue what they call intellect. I don't think you can be really truly intellectual if you don't have your emotions under control either. But nonetheless, from an African-centered perspective, I think you have to be able to do all of that to really truly be intellectual. So the white male-dominated society overvalue intellect. So then what I'm calling the white patriarch, then the white matriarch started fighting back after they looked at our battles with this system, what we call feminism that they brought. You know, I'm not gonna get into all that, but they started fighting back and burning bras and doing all this type of thing, entered academia, changed things around. And now it's been changed for so long that white men feel like they've been dethroned. So now emotions, like my students say, because she said it happened, you must believe her. And I understand that. I understand why they would do it. Because for a long time, they would accuse and they would gaslight women in general if they were raped or whatever. But the problem is it's an overcorrection. So now we're in a society where everything you feel, it's real. Everything you, because I feel it. You know, the society undervalued feelings. Now we're overvaluing feelings, and men can't even be men anymore. It's in such a sense that men have been pathologized as being too stoic, to this, to that. And I'm not saying brothers don't need to get a little bit more in touch with their emotions, but goddamn, I say we got a problem. And the problem I see is that men sometimes are too cut off. And this is a generalization.
Go ahead, teach.
This is a generalization, okay? So from a social science standpoint, nothing is 100%. Okay, but from too cut off from their emotions, and black women, not just us. I'm talking about us now, but they're the ones we're modeling ourselves after. And so what happened is, it's almost like women at this point now, and men too, whoever follows that model, can emote without responsibility because it's been oppressed, it's been undervalued. It has not. So now they're fighting so much from a victim standpoint. And when victims fight, if they haven't healed themselves, they don't feel any responsibility to fight back in a sense, in a respectful manner, or even help other people heal because they let everything go. It's just like a sister I saw on the show on another platform, the one that used to go on back in the day, and try to be politically correct here. And a sister came on, she was deep and she was sharp, but she was thinking about, colorism in our community. And, she was a more dark hue. But the problem is not she couldn't help. It wasn't that she couldn't help the sisters, but the problem is she hasn't healed through her own trauma. So she still overcorrected. In a sense, instead of trying to help people rise up and see the message, she also then denigrated and diminished those who did not look that way. So then again, hence we have in our community the dark skin, light skin battle that continues. Because now I'm going to rise up, not trying to resolve this situation. I'm going to add to it because I've been oppressed. I've been traumatized by it. I have not truly healed, but I'm calling myself a healer. So again, I say that is what happened from my standpoint as it pertains to now people being able to be emotionally wild without any responsibility. I call it the pedestalized victim in my book that is this forthcoming. The pedestalized victim. Meaning that you can do whatever you want to do. You can cry how you want to cry. You can say what you want to say without any responsibility because you feel oppressed. And people who have not healed and have a victim mentality feel like they have no responsibility to the group of people that they have identified that has hurt them.
Doc, you on fire tonight. Doc. And when this therapist mentioned us living in an emotional, fragile society, she said, and she was giving some of the symptoms. She said, like, you're quick to cut things off. We're quick to cut off people. Everybody's a narcissist. We overuse that word. Everybody's a narcissist. She said every difficult person is not a narcissist. Could you speak to that, Doc? How we just diagnose people? Just that person must be bipolar. That person is a narcissist. That person, could you speak to why we do that and how, I'm using the word toxic or harmful that is to kind of like put labels on different people, and I always say you're not even qualified really to be diagnosing folks. But could you talk about why that's so? That when you are emotional fragile, you tend to I ain't dealing with narcissism. Everybody's toxic.
Yeah.
Tell me where that. Yeah.
Because we have pedestalized the so-called victim. And again, this is a symptom of white matriarchy. And why do I say that? I say that because I don't have to take responsibility for my emotions. Hence, you can diagnose the very people who are saying these type of things. But the thing is, they have somehow elevated themselves to superior status. I have a story about I won't even say the story, but a young lady went and did a little thing on me on social media.
I remember that.
Oh, you saw that?
I remember. No, I remember that. Was that the one that was trying to say y'all was paid?
Oh no, not that one. Not that
okay,
one.
Okay.
Well, let me see. Is it similar? No, she didn't go that far. That one was more of an intellectual, but the one I'm talking about is that these type of individual calls themselves, pardon me for y'all who are on here, empaths, don't want responsibility. And they call themselves empaths because as the sister was saying in the video, she was saying they take on the labels. So now it gives them an excuse. I'm an empath. So I feel everything. I feel this and I feel that. Okay, you can feel that, but you have to be responsible with that. I mean, if you've been in community organization, as I've been a person of an organization, you have to, there's all types of people who always feeling something, especially, you also know I operate as an African Senate minister. So the reality is people always think you're going to be talking about them. Well, what else did you come here for? The message is for us to grow and change. And if it was about you, it wasn't only about you, but hold up. Let's look at the message again. Was the message anything wrong with the message? Even if it did, if you think I was talking about you, was there something wrong? Is there something to say you need to take responsibility for your own emotions?
Come on.
Not to say that I get to just say things and do things, but to some degree, we have to realize that I will never be enough for your fragility. Because anything that you feel that I meant, it means it must be real. And you have to take responsibility for knowing that you said you're an empath, that sometimes you're going to get it wrong. And many times you're going to get it wrong. There's no lie. There's no lie that people who are empaths can cue on stuff at higher levels than other people. There's no lie there. But the problem is also that they also get things wrong because their amygdala is off. It's like a fire detector. Amygdala is a portion of your brain. And what it does, it looks for threat. And when you're looking for threat, but the smoke detector is measuring a baby powder as smoke, you have a problem. And that is what happens in our community many times. Those who call themselves empaths and spiritual warriors, and they just was hurt. They've been in 50 narcissistic relationships, but then they jump on YouTube and they become gurus. Let's go through the healing journey together. Let's sage together. Let's do this together. I'm a guru. And I say in my book, in Gia, the journey of both and, the sacred journey of both and, or something like that. But no. Okay, but what I'm saying is I'm not denying you're not gifted or you don't have a gift. But in African rites of passages, you must go through initiation. And just jumping on YouTube is not initiation. So your trauma, as I can't think of his name. Their last name is Some, as the African couple that came to America, did a lot of work with people. The sister Some, what she said was that on the other side of your gift, on the other side of your trauma is your gift. But if it has not been initiated, if you have not gone through a rite of passage with the elders or whoever, you have not harnessed those strengths. Again, nobody's denying that you can't pick up subtle cues on somebody's face. I can too. And I do feel it, but you have to be responsible for your emotions to realize that just because you saw that doesn't mean that you accurately depicted that or interpreted that. And more so, if you have not healed, you will not interpret things. What you call intuition when you haven't healed is really trauma.
Ooh.
And you spiritualize it. And your ego is so fragile. Your ego is so fragile that you can't deal with people. You know you don't like people. The reality is we've been through so much war. We've been through so much hurt and pain. and we don't like people because we like them, we want them, but we can't trust people. And that's what we need to heal from. Because to me, when we talk about trauma or hurt or pain or whatever you want to call the word, stuck emotion, as the sister says, we pathologize everything to a degree. Whatever you want to call it, I don't care. But if you want to get unstuck, you have to face yourself. And you have to realize, if you are empath, if you are highly anxious, if you are highly whatever, if you're highly sensitive, that's another thing. Highly sensitive people, where there's a lot of literature and research on it, but you have to take responsibility for that.
Let me ask you a question, Doc, really quickly before I start breaking up again. You know how people say, I'm healing, I'm aware of my triggers, and when you do something, you're triggering me, or when you say this, you're triggering me. And I'm like, wait a minute. And I mean, are we responsible for other people's triggers?
No. I will say that we can be respectful.
Okay.
Okay. I think if we're going to be in relationships, right? If I know, I think we all should be conscious of other people's sore spots. But the problem is not even that, because there's a thing that now they want you to be responsible for all of their triggers. You know, they want you to be responsible for even when you didn't mean anything.
That part.
And they want to convince you that you must do more work. And I am one of the most, I'm talking about personally me, I am one of the most let's say emotionally intelligent people I know. I'm being honest. And what I mean by that, I can pick up on when people are uncomfortable. In fact, I've been trained to do so. So I'm very cautious in how I move and I talk many times. One day, me and Dr. Mott was on the phone.
Go ahead, share.
And I was very cautious, you know. Dr. Mott is powerful, you know. I don't want no problems. You know, and she already tell you how she can get down, right? You know, but the thing is, I'm conscious of when I talk to people, Doc. But the reality is, I can never 100% be, if you're not doing any work on your end to understand that you are highly sensitive, I'll never be able to meet that. I'll never be able to meet you where you want me to be, because you want the world to change around you. Ooh. What I say with people is, what you have to do is get control of yourself, because you'll never be able to be in control of the world around you. But when you gain control of yourself, you'll be able to manage and engage with the world in a more healthy manner, because you never will change the world. You have to do your work.
Oh man, I'm out of it. But
Mom, you breaking up
to get down because I can hurry up and get it in.
You was good.
Okay. So let me ask you this, Doc. In the video, the therapist also talked about how we cut relationships off and we run from relationships instead of trying to resolve the issues in those relationships that we say or that we feel that we value. So do you think that is also a part of emotional fragility?
I think it's not that simple. I do think that some people run. That's part of their, as she was saying, I listened to it today, because I didn't really listen to the video that I sent you by mistake until today. And I think though, you know, but one of the things I say is that people, she was talking about attachment theory, or attachment, people who are saying, this is my attachment. There's a lot of research around attachment and attachment theory. In scientific research to support that there's some truth there. We know it's a construct, everything is in a sense, but people's attachment systems have them respond in different ways. So some people run and some people run away and some people run towards you. And so those who run away, and I'm being honest, typically they say it's not gendered, but a lot of brothers run away and a lot of sisters run towards you, but it does switch. And so what happens is people have what they call an avoidant type of attachment style, whereas they can't deal with too much. What I've typically noticed is that people dealt with so much without setting boundaries because they don't set boundaries and they have abandonment. We have abandonment issues and all that type of thing. Cause I don't want people to think I'm just like looking at down, because there's a serious issue in our community. And so many of us do have abandonment issues, and those abandonment issues, you know how it is. People run away before you run away on them. Let me run. Let me get out of here. Let me quit before they fire me. Let me get out of here. But then there's people who can't quit, who can't. They will not allow you to leave the relationship, whatever the relationship is. And what they do is they pull closer, and then they stay in there too long and deal with that. I'm going to say a level of abuse. In fact, they also inflict abuse. Those people will typically call themselves empaths, typically don't know when to shut it off. And then they go on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram and say, I'm done with everybody. I'm cutting everybody off.
Oh, yeah, I got people like that.
But that is the problem. The problem is they stay too long without setting boundaries because they don't have high self-worth. Because I don't have high self-worth, and I don't want people to leave me, and I want people to like me, I stay in it too long without setting appropriate boundaries. Hence, then I blow up. I go on a campaign. I'm cutting my mama off. I'm cutting my sister off. I'm cutting my brother off. I'm cutting the goddamn dog off.
Oh, Doc, I feel like you talking about me and my family. I'm over here like, ding, ding, ding. You know, they see the shoe fit. And I'm over here like, oh my God. You're talking about me and my whole family right now. Oh my goodness.
It's an issue in our communities. So it's everybody's family.
Yeah, it's everybody. Yeah, I'm messing. It is like I'm saying, family. I'm just talking.
No. But I know I appreciate you sharing that. But I'm saying that it is pervasive in our community because we are sensitive.
Very.
Even those who look tough, they're the most sensitive ones.
Yeah.
Because they have to protect that core. They have to protect that innocent child that was hurt. They have to protect that. So you look strong. I love tough people because I know inside they're just protecting that sweet part of themselves, that beautiful core, that little girl or that little boy that's been hurt.
There you go, Doc.
And look, you are not tricking me. I know you're a sweetie pie. Tell him. You're a sweetie pie. Tell him. He's a sweetie pie.
Come on, Doc. Come on, you telling the truth. I tell people all the time, I say I have a very hard exterior, but I'm very sensitive. Baba, I mean to tell you that. I call him up like, Baba, I text you and you, Baba say, okay. He said, he's so patient. He said, okay, yes, I know. All right. I'll make sure I do better. You know, I have a hard exterior, but like you said, it's just to protect, like you said, that little girl that got hurt. That's real. What you're saying is facts.
Mm-hmm.
It's facts.
Yeah, it's true. And the research supports it. You know, yeah.
But do you feel, Doc, do you feel like narcissism is prevalent in the community, or do you think it's overused?
I would say, so we have what we call the DSM-5, right? The Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Health Disorders. We're at 5 right now, DSM-5. And when we look at the book itself, narcissism, as it's spelled out as a personality disorder, most people do not actually, not as many people as we are accusing as being narcissistic in a clinical diagnostic sense meet that criteria. but we do have what you call subclinical levels of narcissism that, from my standpoint, I would argue, I agree. Everybody listens to Dr. Romney, and Dr. Romney is a psychologist, a lady, I think she's from East Indian or South Asian descent. And she does bring a lot of information out, but I honestly think Dr. Romney, just be honest, she hasn't healed herself. But she does provide a lot of information that's really good about what she calls narcissism. But she does, in a very educated way, differentiate between subclinical levels of narcissism or what we call clinical levels of narcissism. So what we're talking about are traits. And everybody, no matter who you are, have traits of any what they call disorder. There's something in, we all, but the thing is, disorders are a cluster of symptoms or symptomology that now you can now say, well, this has happened, that has happened. You can measure these things. It's not a very, I know I'm going a long way, but it's not a very simple thing to diagnose. But okay, so let me answer the question shortly. No, most people do not fit the criteria of full-blown narcissistic personality disorder. However, do many people have the symptoms? Yes. And is it from my clinical standpoint, and also some research, that those traits will show up in communities where people have been oppressed. Because let me give you an idea what I'm saying. Trauma. Let's take all the labels off of it. Narcissism is nothing more than a disorder of trauma. It is a personality disorder. Many people don't even categorize it as a mental health disorder. It is a disorder of the personality. It is extreme. And most people don't even understand what personality is to be talking about it. So we talk about things, and so there's other things that's going on that it could perhaps be. A person can be autistic, and you will call them a narcissist. A person can be actually or have ADHD, and you will call them narcissistic, because there are commonalities and there's overlaps in different disorders. So it's not as simple as people make it. Most of the time they're wrong, but because we have experienced trauma, you will have those levels, because that little child is what rules in a narcissistic personality disorder. That little child who had to survive is still utilizing those skills today. And that little child who felt this level of self-worth was so low, they have to create a grandiose image. But many people, they're talking about narcissists now, they're talking about something called on the subclinical levels, they're talking about different types of narcissists, and many times it's like covert narcissism, where people aren't as grandiose, but they're kind of like solemn, or they talk about everything. They're always a victim. And that's another thing about narcissistic personalities. So I can tell you some people in our community that clearly have status that do fit that, but we like narcissists. We love narcissists. You catch the drift, don't you, Doc?
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
I think you and I talking about 2 or 3 people that came to mind.
That fit the category. Look, and people are you ain't got it. Look, they do enough on social media to let you know. I ain't gotta have a conversation with them. Nope.
Doc, I take it. Tell me the truth. Do you think I'm a narcissist? Tell me the truth, Doc. I'm good. I'm good. I can take it. Am I a narcissist? Tell the truth, Doc.
I can't say I can't clinically in my license say yes or no, but I will say is that no, because there are certain now we got to deal with traits. That's different. But when we talking about meeting this book here, or this book here, you don't fit that criteria.
Okay. But you have some traits.
First of all, a lot of people narcissists wouldn't ask that question. The one who fits here.
Oh wow.
They wouldn't ask that question. Their ego is too fragile to ask that question.
Wow.
Because I can even see genuinely you asking a question on live.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, give it to me. I'm like, give it to me. If I am, let me know. If I did it,
we could talk about traits, right?
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
a pure narcissist would never ask that question, especially not on social media.
Wow.
Because a narcissist from a clinical level they know more than you about every damn thing. I mean, in their mind, even if they know they don't, they have to position themselves as a figure of authority. They have to be an expert. And it's not to say they don't know things either, because people who struggle with personality, they're some smart mother skippers. Narcissists tend to rise to high levels in organization. They tend to rise as leadership in organizations. They can be very transactional. They can cut you off and be cutthroat. They in fact, they love attention. And we have an attention problem, but just because you have an attention problem, family, does not mean that you're a narcissist. Mm-hmm. Because the reality is, there's, especially a clinical narcissist. Now, do you share traits? I'm not talking about you now, Dr. Mine. Let me clarify that. Does people share traits with narcissism? We all do. But that doesn't mean you're a narcissist because you're a little grandiose. It doesn't mean you're a narcissist because your ego is tender. It doesn't mean you're a narcissist because now people who are narcissistic personality lack empathy to a great degree.
I did hear that.
I
said I did hear that. I heard that.
But what they're really great at is understanding how empathy works. So they have what you call intellectual empathy, but they've been hurt so much that they had to compartmentalize and fragment on an emotional level. So again, when we look at personality disorders, especially what they call cluster B personality disorders, which is the emotional category of personality disorders, it means that, to me, it's tantamount with saying trauma. So do I even have a somewhat of a soft spot for people in that category? They're very easy. I do, because too many of us have those traits. But at the same time, you got to set boundaries because they will hurt you. And many of us have those traits. So we have to set boundaries because they will hurt you. I understand where the trauma came from. So you're going to see, from my estimation, high levels of the traits in our community, because it takes a lot of work not to be. And plus the society itself, the society we find ourselves in, have in some ways created narcissism. Where you have to be overt, you have to be the one with the charisma, you have to be this and you have to be that, and you bought into it. Where transaction is our value. What I mean is that have transactional relationship, to be a boss in a very mafioso way, is valued.
Doc, let me ask you this. Can you explain what emotional intelligence is and how do we cultivate that skill? Because it's a skill. It's a skill. How do we develop that? So explain what it is, Doc, and how we cultivate it.
So the question. So emotional intelligence, from just a simple way of me explaining it, is one's ability to identify, first and foremost, their own emotions, to feel their own emotions, to name their own emotions, so that they can regulate themselves, so they can create metacognitive ability to understand others' emotions, to be very consciously aware of what others might feel, like I was speaking about earlier. So I understand when I'm crossing the line a bit. Some of us we don't have good emotional intelligence skills, and some of us, what do they call it? A something, I can't think of the term right now, but it's a term, a something, where you don't necessarily have the ability to really express emotion. Somebody, Dr. Samuels, you help me out, Doc. So Dr. Samuels been in there. I've been seeing it. So, but you don't have the ability to really express emotions, although you may feel some things, but so some people will struggle with it.
Right.
But we can build it in most of us. And I think it takes, like, let me give you an example. This is one of the things I was talking about when the elections were going on. Because, see, when we look at things, we're operating out of a fear-based mentality. And this is what the society creates, a fear-based mentality where everybody's against everybody. And I get that, but I'm not going to let the white man's Dr. Amos Wilson boogeyman have more power and space in my mind than he truly has, or nobody for that in that case. So when we talk about emotional intelligence, we have to have empathy. And people think that I lost where I was going, but I will say with empathy, though, you can really glean and feel what's going on in somebody else's world. Why would they be doing that?
I call it taking self out of self, Doc. Sometimes self. That's what I usually say.
Taking self out of self? Yeah, alexithymia, thank you. You know what they say? Doc, you breaking up, so that's why I'm talking. So alexithymia, thank you. That is the term. And so this thing is complex, as I say.
I'm back now. Look, I'm back now. I say empathy requires you to take self out of self. That's what I was trying to convey.
Yeah.
That it requires you have to literally put yourself in someone else's shoes. You have to take self out of self.
Absolutely. And that's where I was going to go. So thank you for that. And so again, as you say, they say you got a very smart chat here. And alexithymia, some people that's going to be a major struggle for people. So we have people that I even in my book that I'm writing, I'm speaking about us being all of us being diverse neurologically. So, but I think it takes us to understand each other on a greater neurological or broader neurological spectrum to truly be and exist in relationships in a more healthy manner, because we don't understand each other many times because we don't understand that people neurologically are made up differently. So we don't understand that some people are more left brain, quote unquote, or right brain, quote unquote, or that some people are a little bit more forgetful, but they have strengths. And I'm not saying I'm not a fluffy person, but there are strengths, but there also are deficits. People try to do strength-based and in the exclusion of deficit-based. I know you don't like the word, but whatever word you change it to, you're just not going to like it. And another thing that I'm against in some of our African-centered communities is some of us talk about not diagnosing. I say when you say Mayat, not Dr. Mayat, but Mayat itself and Isfet itself is a diagnosis. And when you look at, so why are we acting like our ancestors? I was speaking about Tahuti, right? Today. I was speaking about Tahuti, not our ancestor Tahuti. I'm saying the mythical figure. Just want to be clear. That's mythology. But there's lessons to be learned in it. And this is what, and Stolen Legacy talks about it too. And I know there's debate around Stolen Legacy is what this was that, I told you this before, that I don't really care, honestly, if people, things to me don't have to be always historically correct. And what do I mean by that? If African-centered people compile some things and said this is African-centered and this is a paradigm that works for our people, if it works, it works. So let's say this. So what am I saying here? So in the Legacy, he talks about these, 10 principles. And one of the principles is control of thought. The next one is control of action. You understand? The third one is identification with higher ideals. You understand? So again, let's stop at the first two: control of thought and control of action. This is a principle that we speak about from all African traditions, East, West, South Africa. I don't care if Kemetic people, look, let me just keep it a buck. I don't care if Kemetic people was white. So that's not my debate. I know they weren't white, but what I'm saying is I don't care. If it's an African culture that is in alignment with other African systems across the continent,
Teach.
It doesn't have to be the same thing exactly, but when you look at African traditions across the continent, it is in alignment with those systems. So whatever you want to say is cool, but nonetheless, control of thought, control of action, steadfastness of purpose, evidence of a life mission, evidence of a spiritual calling. I know we don't like the word spiritual. Use the word you want to use, a cultural calling. You understand? You know, whatever you want to use. You know, that's not an African word. None of the words you said before you said spiritual wasn't an African word. So I don't get it. What are we talking about here?
What are we talking about?
What are we talking about? Freedom from resentment under persecution. Confidence to master confidence in the master to teach. And Nguzo Saba speaks about that. It speaks about, having confidence in our leaders, teachers, and so on and so forth, right? And then
Amani, faith.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. Look at you. You good. She ain't just waiting for Kwanzaa. She ain't waiting for Kwanzaa, did she, y'all? So confidence in so then confidence in one's own capacity to learn. If we need to strengthen what Freud called the ego. I don't care if Freud said it. I often say that. I don't care what Freud said. I don't care what Beck said. I don't care what you call white is not white, because Freud was not the first person that thought about an unconscious mind or what have you, or subconscious reality, or the id ego and super ego, or Beck wasn't the first one who thought about a cognition or a feeling or emotion and a behavior and how they interact. It's just not, they're not the first ones. So some things we can say, oh, we can't give white people ownership of things that they weren't the first people to do it. Maybe what they do is compartmentalize and create schools that are at odds with each other. Don't do that. And don't throw away something just because a white person said it, because I promise you, they weren't the first people to say it. So that's why we have a bunch of what we call pseudo healers out here that are hurt, who have never healed, because the white man is in their mind. And what I mean, even if they think that they can't get over the trauma that they believe mama caused them, or mama did cause them, but they can't even empathize. They call themselves empaths, but they can't empathize with the people. I'm going to say on a light level. You can't empathize because you think mama wasn't home, but mama was at work, and now you feel neglected. And there's truth there, but we have to understand this system creates these circumstances. Mama was cold. Mama wasn't really affectionate. But the reality is, in African cultures and Black cultures, we are high context cultures. We are not we are high context cultures, not low context cultures. A high context culture's actions do speak louder than words. In Eurocentric cultures, is low context cultures. I'm not saying it's wrong, right, whatever. But what I'm saying is, do not hold mama accountable to be a low context culture when we are high context African people. So mama, when she was working, she thought that was the way that she showed love. Mama might even come in and say, I love you every day, baby. Nor than my father, nor than my mother. But what I am saying is this: you have to use the measure that fits the culture that you're in. Mama was fighting for you every day she went to work. I'm not saying there's no other things that happened that shouldn't have happened, because we can talk about those too. But I am not only those things are very extreme, and they are not the norm in most cases.
Right.
But even in those cases, I think we can really explore those things a little deeper, which takes a lot of work. And I'm not going to explore those things on the show because they'll be calling me crazy. But we have to understand that we have been hurt.
Yeah.
And I'm not blaming it on the white man. I'm blaming on whatever hurt us. Which there's a lot of stuff that happened in this Ma'afa and still happens in this Ma'afa that has us acting weird. So again, the last principle, I think, Doc, it says readiness for initiation. So these were the principles according to Stolen Legacy. I know there's a lot of debate around that. Brother Unk don't get me. But nonetheless, what I'm saying is, I'm not really worried about whether or not, this was that about the Greeks and I'm not worried about all that. What I'm saying is, we compiled it for African-centered people, and even if we repackaged it, prepackaged something that was for us, because nobody was the first one to thought about the control of a thought. I mean, Black people had to be.
Right. Ashe, Doc. Oh my gosh. Hold on. I got to do this.
Fire!
Doc, you killed it. Thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming on. I feel like you were talking to me. I feel like the whole time I'm over here looking around, right? I got some damn cameras in here. I talk about
how you said that. You heard that way back in the day too, when we used to do lectures.
Oh, I'm like, is he talking to me? Is he talking about my relationships right now? Is he talking about my childhood? But if the shoe fits, I'm definitely going to wear it. But I thank you so much, Doc, for all of your wisdom, man. You killed it. Your wisdom, your knowledge. I'm actually going to go back through this and listen to you again, because I'm sure there were some things that you conveyed that I didn't cut, that I didn't catch. And I want to process all of what you said. And family, I implore you to do the same thing. Go back. Listen to this. Let's have some discussions with our loved ones, right? About the things he's talking about. And Doc, so I invite you to come back on again so we can unpack some things. Doc, do you have any closing words for the listening audience?
Oh man, thank you, Doc, for bringing me on and allowing me the space. You always said, I don't often call, but you said, look, you said this is your home, just let me know. I mean, I didn't know it was going to be such a fast turnaround time, but I really appreciate the conversation, and I've been here all day at the temple because we meet on Sundays here. We do our healing circle here. But one thing I want to say is, this is one thing that's just on my heart, I guess to say, on my mind, is that let's stop allowing people to play with us. Because lots of people believe that healers, or even let's say therapists, just go to school and learn about feelings. Dr. Maya was speaking about a little bit on her show. They think you just go to school to anything I say sound non-complex to you today, and that wasn't even complex. So what I'm saying, it gets more complex. You don't go to school to learn about how some people do. I mean, some programs aren't as strong as others, or people aren't, but what I'm saying is, but no, most time you have to really understand some things that are too complex to really that it won't be 100% or what have you. Let me just go. What I want to say is, don't let people play with you. Make sure that they have done the work. I'm not even saying in institutions, whether or not they're in an institution, make sure they've done the work themselves. And when people are in a this or that mentality, it's highly likely that they haven't done the work that they needed to do. And I'm saying even with white people, and I'm saying, look, hear me out. Look, don't let them hold real estate in your brain to stop you from building. Don't discount it. You call it out, because they have hurt us.
Yeah, absolutely. But don't stay there. Yeah.
Because that is what trauma is. Trauma is stuckness. That's what it is. Don't allow people to stop you from moving on in any kind of relationship. I'm saying it's just like being in an intimate relationship, right, where you've been hurt by people before. How you're kind of on the edge of trauma is when your mind starts saying, can I trust this one? And you start looking at this one like that one, and you don't want to move forward, and you get stuck in that cycle, and it's necessary to be there because you've been hurt. But at the same time, you got to work past that to be able to look at things in a more nuanced sense. So, family, heal, rise, and liberate. Thanks, Dr.
And Dr. Samuels, he has a question on the screen for you. If you could answer it, Doc.
Is that I agree with Dr. Dennis on this, but some believe if it's not proven via text or bibliography, then it's pseudo. We should explore that further. I think a lot of it has, there are some things that have not been explored. And there's lots of things that have been explored, especially in mental health treatment, right? That has empirical evidence. But I do get it that, especially when we talk about cultural things, you gotta understand that in this society, I know we think we're in an age where scientific racism doesn't exist, but it's a fact that it still does. can think that it doesn't, but then that lets you know that you really don't understand what you're talking about. Scientific racism is well and alive because we ain't talking about math in numbers. We talking about human beings. And when you're talking about human beings, they still want to keep you controlled. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm telling you reality here. The reality is that scientific racism funds certain things and it underfunds or defunds things altogether for certain groups of people. If you don't understand that, then you are lying to yourself to feel comfortable in this society.
It was that Dr. Samuel said, his question said, Dr. Ausar, would you agree that I hope that I don't butcher this word. Yeah, his is on the screen. He said that wasn't my question.
I'm sorry, pardon me. Okay.
Yeah, Dr. Craig. Yeah, Dr. Craig Samuels actually put his comment on the screen. So if you look at the screen,
Doctor, so would you agree that alexithymia, emotional blindness, is related to how do you say that? Face blindness and all. Oh yeah, I would
What do you think, Doc?
I would say yes, it definitely is a neurological, I'm a strength-based, a neurological difference, yes. And that is a part of the broader neurological spectrum that I speak to. And hence what people are calling neurodiverse, yes, because most of us don't fall within that category. And I think it's also important that we do also name it, because a person who experiences that does not fall in the first standard deviation of the bell curve. What I mean is most of us don't experience that. People probably in the second or third, maybe third standard deviation. It's very few people who experience that. So yes, that is a neurological difference.
Okay. Beautiful answers. So they asking questions now. Sister asked, she said, "What strategies do we take? What strategies do we take?"
From what?
Yeah, sister, you gotta expound on that. Sister Jones, you had to expound on that. She said, "What strategies do we take, Doc?"
I think sometimes, and I think that sometimes it's built in the diagnosis. See, some people don't think diagnosis is part of the strategy. But I think that part of what I said, we have to do whatever we have to do to get our emotions under control. There's no one strategy that works for everybody. But there's a few strategies that I identified in the diagnosis itself that many of us have not gone through rites of passages. Many of us, and whatever that rites of passage looks like, but we have to go through a process to better regulate our emotions. We have to go through a process to better understand each other. But on a cultural level, on a grander scheme, you might not say it, but we have to do something different culturally as Black African people and people in general, to be honest with you, because none of this is working for any of us. None of it. And if you think it is, you have to look at the divorce rates. You have to look at families. You have to look at the trauma that all communities, including those who you identify as oppressed, are experiencing in everyday life. Nobody is really healthy in this society. No, people are hurt. People, families and relationships, people are hurt and torn by their families. So we have to make some cultural differences, as Baba Imhotep spoke about last week, as Dr. Marimba Ani speaks about, as Dr. speaks about. We can't act like culture is not important, because it is essential.
Come on.
It is essential. And if you act like it isn't something, you're missing something. Because culture tells you what you must do. It tells you how to operate. It tells us how we deal with one another. Culture, as Dr. Marimba Ani says it very succinctly, and she's a beautiful mind. And what she says, culture is ordered behavior. And we need some order. Because to counteract what we call disorders, you must bring order to it. So again, I'm not totally against the word disorder. We have to identify that something ain't ordered up in there. So now we have to bring some culture some nuance. We have to bring culture that's going to serve us on an individual level and on a collective level. If we only deal with the individual, we'll continue to go back out into the waters that are polluted. Doc, are you laughing?
I'm like, you going in. I'm over here like, you going in. You going in. You're going in, Doc. So I'm over here laughing like, good God Almighty, Doc, you over here. I mean, people in the chat, they said he was on point. Some people just said, I love him. People in the chat, they just like, I love him. I love him. Doc, tell people where they can find you if they need to contact you.
Okay, well, you can check me out on you can follow me on what is it, IG, YouTube, Instagram. Oh, not Instagram, right? Yeah, Instagram is IG, and TikTok is at symbol Dr. Dennis Ausar Winkler. Ausar is spelled AUSAR. So yeah, you can also check the website out, Temple TEMPLE of Nat. That's of OFNAT.org. That is our Temple of African Thought website. We got a lot going on over here in these parts. We have a whole entire holistic wellness center where we feed your mind, your behind, and we also, from a holistic approach. And when I say holistic, I ain't talking about no snake oil stuff. When I say holistic, sometimes that includes some regular medicine too. That's holistic. You don't exclude things. You include all that you need to be the best version of yourself.
Ashe. And family, before you get out of here, take a moment to thumb up this video. Thumb it up, thumb it up, thumb it up. Also share this video on your social media platforms and even send it out in group chats, okay? Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Dr. Oya. Oh, actually change it. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Truth to Power Talk with Dr. Ma'at, and hit the notification bell so that whenever I go live, you will be notified. Doc, again, Asante Sana, Dua, Madawo Ase, for coming on tonight. Family, I thank you also from the bottom of my heart for being with us tonight. Peace and Black African excellence.
Let's combat and fight back with maltracks. The war of the minds, they want control of the masses. And Common Core, they dumb us down in the classes. Without knowledge, we can't gain access. Build with the elders, take notes and write classics. We keep whining on the block, how it's gonna stop? Let's start supporting our own, make their supply drop. We buy stocks, then we buy blocks. Cause we know the truth and we tuned in to Dr. Maya.